Petrangelo wasn't out there. Any update?
Just maintenance. He'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Obviously settled on the lines that he rolled with in Game 4. After looking back at the film, what did you like about that group and what they were able to finish with in Game 4?
All the lines are, well, I mean, the overtime goal is, big goal for Nick Waugh's line. I thought he was had good jump. He played with Smitty when Smitty first reacquired him. I liked what they brought. Barbie's played with Nick and probably Colasar more than Smith, so he's been there. Jack and Carly were, that was a little one that matchup dictated. I got two of our best centers against their top line, and they were okay with it. So we just made a move, shuffled some people around. Hurdle and Saad stayed together with Stoney on the right. So Pav then moves up. Howie lands, like I said, Howie was a little under the weather with Pearson and Colasar. And they've played together a lot. That line's been together. I don't know how much, but you know what I mean. Like, they've been in that role, all of them. So that didn't seem to be a stretch. So we're going to stick with that at least for today. Today's over. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Bruce, hi. I want to ask you about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your staff, and most importantly, trust between you and your players. As you factored all of that into your decisions that went into Game 4, how much of it has been a cumulative thing on your part to build that trust between you and your players?
Well, it's our part, right? I mean, it's a two-way street. I can't trust my whatever decisions, strategy, approaches if they don't. I don't trust them to get the job done and just play hockey and not overtax them with thoughts and different things, right? So there's that you just build over time. We had a good playoff run. I mean, it's a great playoff run the first year. So it was a great way to build trust, right? You win in the end. We make some adjustments. We don't take them out of their element either. It's not. I don't think it was anything. Just whatever was required, a little tweak here or there, and the lines is a little different. I think you got to talk to players, see how they feel about that. Because sometimes they'll say, no, we can fight through this. We got it. Okay, you got it. Good. I'm just trying to help you out. I think that's what you do with your players that maybe it isn't going, especially the top guys. They're under a lot of scrutiny, especially playoff time. It gets, under a microscope even more. So let's help them out. And if they need a change, they get a change, right? And you don't know. That's part of it. You go into the playoffs with an idea until you get, whatever, you get punched in the face, right? And then it's on. So that's a little bit of the thought process. And I think the players do trust in us. I think we come with them a good plan. We're not coming out of left field. We explain it. It's in video. Here's why. Here's how it looks. They can only answer that. But I certainly trust them to be able to adjust. I've said many times, it's a high hockey IQ bunch. I've always believed that certain adjustments offensively with the puck you do need to walk through in practice. It's just not that easy as drawing it on a board. So that's the part that gets that you need to work through, and that's where a day like today is handy.
Along those lines, obviously Eichel's getting a lot of defensive attention, and like you said, that's kind of a compliment to him. What have your conversations been with him, and how do you think he's handling kind of fighting through that attention to try to get going?
I thought his game elevated. In Game 4, you could tell, like, again, second and third period, he's more vocal. He's being a little more physical in the battles and that time of year. So I have no issue with Jack at all. I think he's been the victim of some bad luck on the terms of the plus-minus side. He's always been a plus player here, so I'm not going to read too much into that number. Offensively, we're trying to help any way we can to sort of, here's what we're seeing to make a few more plays, but he's had some looks and just hasn't been like his series necessarily where the pucks followed him around. And I said this before, that I hate always going back, but sometimes it's relevant. Is like Jonathan Marchessault didn't score till went 5 against Winnipeg, Game 3, I think, in Edmonton. So you're 8 games in, and the guy won the Conn Smythe. So, like, things can change. Like, sometimes it just doesn't go your way early, and you got to help the team win, and that's what we're asking Jack. Now, yeah, he's a driver, and that's going to bother him if it's talked about, and it will be talked about. If I'm watching another series and I see his numbers, I'm like, oh boy, he's not going, but we're here every day and we see what he's doing, and that's why we switched it up a little bit to sort of see if that could help. We're trying to give him ideas in the power play. I think our power play has been effective for the most part. It scored goals for us. Both games we won, it was a big factor. One of the games we lost, we didn't get one, so it's irrelevant. Game 3, I'd say, yeah, we could have finished better on it, but I still thought we generated. So all that part of the game, he's been good on the kill. It's just hasn't quite come together. So that's it, Jack, stay with it. I guess that's how we, no one's down on you. Keep playing, push through. And that's it. It'll turn, hopefully it'll turn for him. In terms of the puck finding him a little more. He's a competitor, and he ain't going anywhere, right? It's hopefully that he gets a little puck luck. Sometimes, like Theo the other day, right? He scores a goal early, man, the guy's lights out the rest of the day. Sometimes that's all you need, a little weight off your shoulder. They're human too, right? So that's probably what Jack needs, something good to go his way early on. I think you'll see a little bit of what happened to Theo.
Playoffs, you have these big momentum swings. Do you believe they carry game to game, or with 6:30 tomorrow, do you start over again, fresh?
Start over. I think if you're most of the teams that have been there know, right? Now we'd like to take advantage of it on our end and see if we can put them on their heels early on. But I mean, there'll be 2 days between games, and I'm sure they'll just revisit what they've done well against us and say, hey, let's just get back to that. I don't know how much they'll scrutinize the game. That's up to them. But as I say, I don't think it affects you a lot, and that's why it does go back and forth. I mean, if momentum were everything, then you'd see a lot more. You'd see less swings, right? I just think most teams put it behind them. I think as coaches, we have to do. That's one of the tasks you got to do right away. Is try to put the game behind you, no matter what happened, and tweak here or there, and just get your team ready.
Term was half-court offense going into the series. Has there been less room than even you expected between the blue lines?
Well, there's room. There's room on the outside a little bit. We've done a good job with getting through there. I mean, the game at home we lost were both rush goals through the neutral zone. They just don't happen directly off the rush. I think it was Sad drove through the neutral zone wide, went all the way around the net, had a little play with Petro, a scissor play, and it gets to Hurdle. So it wasn't Sad going directly to the net because it was an odd man. It was a rush that just took a little longer to develop. So there is room. It's the odd man rush game that's not there a lot because people reload better and they make better decisions with the puck, so you're not turning them over as much. That's what you lose a little bit in playoffs. So room between the Blues is there, but it's just not through the middle of the ice with numbers typically. And that's how the challenges of creating offense from that with equal numbers. So that's what we've talked about a lot, and I thought we've been doing a better job driving the puck deep and then spreading them out from there. And whether that keeps resulting in more goals in the O-zone, we'll see. Or any goals, or however it works out. More chances, that's what we'd like to. You got to generate offense somehow, right? And it can't all be, well, it can be, I guess, sorry. You can throw pucks behind them all night and forecheck all night every entry, or you can try to gain access and keep possession. But how are you going to do that, and where's the offense come from there? We're trying to balance that because we've always been a team there's these analytics like entry versus denials and all that. We're a good entry team, so we don't want to just give that up, Darren, because the team backs off a bit. Let's find different ways and maybe not score on the rush, but get our entries and then at least have possession where we don't have to forecheck and get it back all the time. That could work. It worked. And we scored the overtime goal like that, right? They won the faceoff with forecheck. Teams make mistakes, but we want it to be a balance.
Barbashev scored some huge goals for you, and I'm curious what makes him a big moment player. And as a coach, can you look at players and say, I know that guy's always going to be there because of who he is?
Well, he scores big goals because usually, like, he's got the ability to get to the inside ice, right? He's willing to go there, and that's usually where big goals scored. Rarely you're going to come down the wing and pull a 1979 Guy Lafleur drop pass big goal to tie the game against the Bruins, right? Like, those just don't, it's more inside. You got to get inside. You got to get a bounce. You got to get a break. and he's willing to do that. So that's one thing. And he does have good offensive instincts. Even though he's a physical player and a forecheck guy, he's got good hands, so he's got it in him. Some guys just have the ability to find pucks and a little composure. He's got that.
Update yesterday, by the way. I was not here.
Just trying to,
Appreciate that. I was on the flight. Today you were working on entries a little bit on the power play. What didn't go right in the last game on that?
Well, we had some good entries, and there was a couple of power plays where it seemed like we got stalled trying to gain access with possession at the blue line. So we just tried to tweak a little bit of that. Okay, here's what they're doing. Here's some other options that you use periodically during the year, but not all that. They're not our go-to. Maybe these need to be built in a little more. So that's what we were trying to do. As I said, we've had some good entries, and then there's been pockets where we haven't been as clean. So we're just trying to fix the areas we're not as clean. And a little bit of that is pace. Come and make sure we're coming with a lot of pace. They do a good job defending the blue line. They have people up. They tend not to sag there, so you got to make a good play. As you get over the red line towards the blue line, you got to be in sync, right? Because they're pretty tight there, and that's kind of what we're revisiting.
You guys have gotten a lot of shots on that the past couple of games, but also a lot of block shots against you. Are you happy with the way the puck is coming off the stick, how fast it's coming off, or is that something you want to work on a little bit more heading into the next game?
Well, we did do a better job of, when your shots get blocked, typically they have a lot of people in the slot or near the net, and they can be blocked with a stick, it can be blocked with layers. So we're trying to a little bit stretch their defense out so that the lanes open up a little more. I thought we did a better job with that. Games 3 and 4, we're starting to come a little more, and guys are getting it. So I think we're getting there. If you have enough shot attempts, a good team like Minnesota, like us, is going to block a lot of shots. That's just how they play. Their D tend to stay close to the net, so they're going to get in the way. So we know we're going to have to deal with that. That's how we've tried to overcome it. And I thought our offensive numbers, and they backed it up for the stuff we do, were the best for Game 4. So we're trending well in that. Now, I know we had an overtime, so there's extra period, but in general, they averaged out better.
Not just the fact that you won Game 4 to make it a 2-2 series and not a 1-3 deficit, but the fashion in which the team did it with an emotional last-second overtime win. How does that maybe recapture some confidence or even magic that was absent Game 2 and Game 3?
Well, you get some juice from that. There's no doubt. It's a big swing in the series. And after that, that's it. It's back to work. Guys have been through some, tight series here before. Going back to Gosha's question, the momentum, we know that they're going to be ready to go in Game 5. They're not going to overthink Game 4 because it didn't go their way. Just like in Game 3, we didn't panic or, hey, you know what, let's get ready for Game 4 and take care of that. I know you can't look ahead. You just can't. You got one game in front of you. You got to go out and do your best to win it. And if you don't, well, you got to win the net. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of that you're not thinking big picture. Well, we're going to build our game for 2 weeks from now. It's more now. You get a little more singular focus on it's Game 5, and that's why you see line changes. You see some of the minutes in the series. If you watch other series, how little some guys are playing. Because you're just worried about the next game. Now, I do believe you have to have a little bit of an eye on, depending on where you are in this series, but now it's 2 out of 3, right? So, it gets a little more, hey, what's going on in the moment? I got to take care of whatever's going on in the moment as a coach, as opposed to worried about, hey, we're building our game with 4 lines. Like now it could shrink a little bit because of where we are.
Bruce, all 4 series in the Western Conference are tied 2-2 after four games. What does that kind of say about how tough this West has been all year? Parity. And I think that, the East is, there a few 3-1s? Now, that can happen anyway, but I think this year, I don't want to speak out of turn. I think the West is a little stronger than the East, and that happens from year to year, the East. And I think it shows in the playoff series. Now, the Eastern guys are going to hate me for saying that, but listen, if they tell me 2 years from now the East is a little better than the West and the series are like that, I'd have a hard time making an argument with them, right? Because that's what it appears to me. But, even the East, I look at the Montreal, Washington, they're close games. There's some overtime, so and that's probably the largest discrepancy of points, right, in the series. And they're still, even though it's 3-1, it's been tight. So that's the NHL. Once you're in, it's tight. And that's certainly the case in the West.